what I want to get is like a table here, like a little table right here, so then it could be like just kind of sit back, relax. But
for sure.
it's not in the budget.
It's not in your budget.
Yeah.
Tables? That's not costly, is it?
Well, we have to have an aesthetic. So if you want to donate Mount Zion, give us some tables.
Get the tables, CT.
Okay, I'll get the tables. Yeah. Hi, Pastor.
Hi, CT. 1 second.
Okay. We'll get started here eventually. What we're going to talk about today, and I'll tell you this. So Pastor's anniversary is tomorrow, and we are celebrating 8 years with having Pastor Allen here at Mount Zion. Oh, hello. Welcome to MTZ Overflow Podcast. I'm Cassaundra Thorpe. I'll introduce my forever guest when he comes back, but we are celebrating his anniversary here. He and his family's anniversary here at Mount Zion. Oh, hi.
Hi, how you just going to start without me?
You were in the room.
But I wasn't in the frame. So it's like I wasn't here.
Welcome to MTZ Overflow Podcast. I'm your host, Cassaundra Thorpe. Here's my forever guest, Reverend Dr. Marcus Allen.
What up?
And can you believe it's been 8 years?
8 years is crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
How long you been at Mount Zion?
7.
7, so you came right after I came.
So I only know you as the pastor.
That's what's up. So you one of my disciples.
Yep.
God bless your heart.
Bless it.
Some nice kicks you got on there.
Thank you. I decided to...
You can't hide money.
You can hide money. That's how people made it through tough times. But I just trying to keep up with you.
Nah, that's
you staying fresh. I just had to get a little fresh.
That's what's up.
With my little J's on today.
Okay.
I'm not gonna show y'all because sometimes some stuff you just gotta keep private. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's what's up.
But yeah, I got my little J's on today.
Okay.
I feel like a good day. Good day for him.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. That's what you're gonna be saying all day.
All day.
You got nothing else to say.
That's what's up.
So today we're going to do something different. So we're going to talk about Pastor's 8 years and some lessons that he has learned throughout his time. And I've broken them up into some different categories. He doesn't know how I broke these up. So you are getting raw, real-time responses here today, folks. So,
for sure.
So enjoy that. But he's a professional. So don't I'm not trying to catch him up. You're just going to get his real thoughts in the moment. And so with 8 years, we thought about 8 leadership lessons, kind of from where the church has been, kind of where we're at and where we're trying to go. But the first leadership lesson I want you to talk about is transitioning into leadership.
Right.
So how did you get here? What has been your journey to Mount Zion?
All right. So everyone knows I was in the Army from 2001 to 2012, and my last duty station was Fort Lee, Virginia. And while I was there, I started pastoring at Union Branch Baptist Church, 2012, September. We were there. At least we started as the interim in January of 2011. And then I told them I wanted to be the pastor, and they're like, if you want to be the pastor of the church, you have to quit as the interim. So May 2012, I got out the Army. May 2012, I told the church I wanted to be the pastor, and I thought, hey, I was doing a good job. I thought we was doing great work, and I thought, hey, come on, we'll just put you right in. But there are legalities and steps and processes that you must go through in order to be selected as the pastor. And they was like, so you have to quit. So
quit being interim or quit the Army?
Quit being interim.
Okay.
Because I quit the Army.
That was separate.
Yeah.
Quitting the Army was separate.
But the intention was quitting the Army and being the pastor of the church.
Okay.
So I quit the Army, and I thought, bam, they're going to just put me in as the pastor, because I've been there 18 months already doing the work. And they told me I had to quit. So May 2012, I had no job, and I wasn't pastoring any church. and I had a wife and 3 children. And so I was wondering, Lord, is that your voice I heard?
Sometimes you gotta just ask.
For sure. And so, but that September, they called me back. I was the pastor there. Amen. They called me to be the pastor September 2012. And then had some great years. It was a great church, great people. But we was going through where I was traveling, Tara was traveling. And if both of us went somewhere, we had to fly either my mom in or her mom to come take care of the kids. And so we decided, hey, let's make a move. And I asked my wife, did she want to go to Alabama or Wisconsin? And she said Wisconsin. And so I knew that was the will of God, because we had came here one Christmas and she said we would never live in Wisconsin because of how cold it was. But when she said Wisconsin, I was like, oh yeah, this is the will of God concerning our lives right now. And so I had attended this ecumenical conference for pastors who were under 40. And after attending that, one of my professors was there, and I was telling him, yeah, I want to try to make a move, go back home. And he's like, a church just opened up. I'm going to send you the information. And it was Mount Zion, and it was Adam Bond. And I didn't know Adam Bond was licensed and ordained here at Mount Zion. But when I asked him for like a letter of recommendation or could he talk to the people here, he was like, no, I don't want to interfere in the process. So I was like, cool. And so I knew no one here. I had no inside connections. I applied, I want to say October 2016 when I applied. 2015, October 2015, I applied to be the pastor here. Didn't hear nothing from the church until like January, February.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they told me.
So what were you doing in between that time? Were you still down in Virginia?
Yeah, I'm still pastoring.
So you're still pastoring in Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach people, no, you don't quit one job until you get the next one.
That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson. Because I definitely be... I'm trying to... You know what? The Lord will provide.
No.
No? Shouldn't do that?
No, don't live on the edge like that. Oh. And so I was still, because I didn't know if they would select me or not. So I kept doing my thing, kept leading. Matter of fact, I had even forgotten about it because it was so long. It took so long. And we did a video conference on Skype at that time because Zoom hadn't made it on the scene yet. Did a video conference on Skype. And then when I... then they sent me a letter. They sent me an email, told me I made top 3. Then they sent me a letter and told me I didn't make the top 3. And so I'm like, yo, I was like, on one hand they said I made it, and then the next hand they was like, and then the letter came in the mail like you didn't make it. And so I was confused in among. So
yes, I would be.
And Candace Patterson name was on the letter.
Which letter? Which
both,
letter?
Both of them. She was on both of them, and she emailed me. So I called Candace like, hey, what's going on? On the email it says I made top 3. On this letter it says I didn't. And she's like, oh, that was a mistake. Tara, my wife, she was like, oh, that's a mistake. It's just a mistake. And then I was like, oh, I didn't get it. But then I called Candace like, no, you made top 3. And so I came here in June, and then I taught a Bible study lesson, and they questioned me for an hour and a half.
Wait. How long was the Bible study lesson?
Bible study was an hour.
So the Bible study was an hour, and then after the Bible study, they questioned you for another hour and a half.
Candace Patterson, she had all the questions. She had all the questions. She questioned me for. She just had like a stack of 3x5 cards. Like,
just like.
Like I guess the people, the church gave her questions, and she was the one. They only allowed one person to ask the questions.
So she was representing the
whole
church body.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you gonna do men, women, youth, children? What is your vision for the church? There's all those types of questions.
Did you know that these were going to be the questions?
No.
Oh, so kind of just like right now,
yeah.
You don't know what.
Yeah, they didn't send me the list of the questions. It was just go get it. And so,
you've been training for this moment. Amen.
Yeah. So, answered all the questions, preached the next day. But they didn't know I had a secret that my wife could sing. So when I was like, hey, before I preach, can my girlfriend come sing?
That's what you said?
Yeah.
Pastor.
And then Dr. Peggy was like, hey, you might want to tell them that's your wife. Because
Yes.
because what we just went through, we don't need our pastor having girlfriends. And so Dr. Peggy told me that, and then I had to go up there and correct it. But she came up and she sung, and you know how she do. And I think because of her singing, they wanted me to come back. I don't know if it was from my preaching.
Power of a wife.
Yeah, I don't know if it was from my preaching, but I think it was from her singing. So they asked me to come back. So I preached June. They asked me to come back. I preached in July, and then they voted in August. And so, like, I think the third Sunday in August, Deacon Anthony called me and told me that I was selected as the next pastor of Mount Zion.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we came October 16th, I think, want to say. Third Sunday in October, we came here, and it's been a journey since then.
Wow. You know what I think is always amazing? I mean, that's a journey, but I think all first ladies have to sing. I'm not like I grew up the pastor that I grew up with, his wife sang in the choir. She had her solos, and she would sing a song before he would preach, especially if it was like a special service,
right? Gotcha.
Stuff like that. So I just assume that is part of the role of first lady. Now,
it's not always the case.
Well, I'm not saying they may sing whether they can or not, but my experience has been that I've yet to. You just continue to reinforce my thoughts on it, so I just believe it to be true.
I would say that's a good assumption, but that's not always true. It's not always true.
So that's great. So then you came in October of 2016. Okay. So that was leadership lesson 1. Leadership lesson 2, navigating the COVID pandemic. Now, I know that there was no precedent for how to do this in this current age. The last pandemic we had was 100 years prior. So everything had changed. Just how we did everyday life has changed since then. So in that, kind of these kind of 3 questions that I have is, like, what was the priority? What did you realize that we didn't need? And what did you realize that we needed more of?
Okay. Yeah, so COVID happened 2020. So I had been here for about a little over 3 years. And so that first year, 2016, 2017, it was just me observing the church, what type of church it is, what's the leadership structure, who are the leaders. I wanted to know who was the pastor, right? Because when you become a new pastor, when you go to a new church, there's somebody who is the pastor who's in charge already. And so I wanted to figure all that stuff out. I knew I wasn't the pastor yet, because just because your name is on program, marquee, website, van, or whatever it is, doesn't mean you're the pastor of the people.
So who was the pastor? It's okay, you don't have to say it.
I'm not gonna say it because you're being messy. but I was trying to just figuring out the culture of the church.
Yeah.
And so that was 16, 17, 2018, 19. I was developing. We redid the church core values. We redid the mission statement, and then we was just trying to find the flow. And then about time, so we created the core values was live our faith, love our family, and lift our community. So 2018 was live our faith. That's what we focused on the whole year. 2019 was love our family. That's the intentionality of how do we take care of each other. And then 2020 was lift our community. Now, so 3 years prior, we developed those core values, and we didn't know how much lifting our community we'll be responsible for. That we would actually live that out when COVID took place. And so when COVID happened, I think early, starting about January, we started seeing across the country, not country, but across the world, of how things was going in Italy, China, how they shutting everything down, closing everything. And then, of course, these arrogant Americans, we feeling it'll never happen like that here because we got all this technology, we have all of this medicine, we know so much. We are Americans, right? And so it was March. I want to say that third week in March because the first week we celebrated my anniversary. Second week, I think I preached, and then that third week, that's when things was turning around for COVID. Carla Gaines was getting up in front of the church telling people, wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home. ABC when you wash your hands, so you need to wash for at least 2 minutes, something like that. So she was getting up to giving these public service announcements, fist bumps, elbow taps, no shaking of hands and stuff like that. And so we was giving all those announcements. And then that next week, the NBA shut down.
Yeah, and March Madness shut down. Or like, I remember it was like the Big Ten tournament. They were like warming up. It was on the men's side. Like they were warming up and they stopped the game and pushed all the teams like off the court to go back into their locker rooms. Wow. To that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so the NBA shut down that Thursday night. Because Carl Anthony Towns, not Carl Anthony Towns, the big dude, Ruby Gobert.
Yep.
You know, he was touching all the mics and stuff, and then found out he had COVID. and so the NBA shut down. Then I was like, "Yo, we got to shut down." And it was spooky for a minute because we just didn't know. It was so much unknowns. And so we didn't have any capability. I don't even think I knew you prior to COVID.
I don't think so either. I had, prior to that, I had like just joined the AV ministry. It was me and Dr. Kelly Harris. Hey girl. And we were just clicking PowerPoints for service. So like I was new into like the ministry and just I was trying to figure it out. But no, I just knew you was Pastor Allen and you was, and then that's my interpretation. It almost went into defying gravity. I was presenting a Revo in that moment. Oh my God. Yeah, no, to that, no, I don't think
I didn't know. I didn't know who you were at all. And so Alex came. 2018, 2019, she came, and then they were starting to play with some virtual service, we didn't have any virtual service. 2018, we started doing virtual giving, at least electronic giving, because we didn't have any of that, and so it was just we didn't have no connections with the outside world, only on Sunday morning. And so when it was time for us to go fully virtual after being fully in person, that was challenging.
Yeah.
That was challenging because we shut down everything. Nobody coming to the church, especially our older adults. We only had a team about 15 people with the musicians. Well, we had 4 musicians, then the praise team, then me, and then the AV.
That was me and
Monique. Yeah. And so that was it. And we did that in 1 week, at least not even a week, in like 3 days, where we shifted totally to the virtual space. And I remember that Saturday we were here trying to figure it all out. And a gentleman came up, knocked on the window, and said, "Hey, here's a check for $5,000 for your food pantry because we know things about to get hard for people." That's when I knew God was going to take care of us. For real.
Yeah.
Nobody asked him to bring us no money. We didn't seek any funds. He just came, knocked on the door and said, hey, I know y'all have a food pantry. Here's a check for $5,000 because, I think it's going to be it. And so that's when I knew from that moment God was going to provide for us through that pandemic. It was but that Sunday morning, that's a high. Then that Sunday morning we started church. We didn't have all the capabilities we have now to alert our members about things that are going on. And we had tried to send out email. We tried to call people, let them know we were shutting down and no in-person worship. However, some people still came to church because they didn't get the message. Mm-hmm. And when they came to the door, I wanted to be there to turn them away. I was turning away. No, we're not having in-person worship. Go watch us on Facebook. Look us up in Mount Zion Baptist Church on Facebook. Lady said, how are you going to turn us away from Jesus? Crushed me.
Yeah.
Crushed me. I'm talking about it. Crushed me because I felt in a time like this, we all need to be together.
Yeah.
But it was unsafe for us to be together. Mm-hmm. And so that crushed me, which is like, how are you going to turn us away from Jesus? And so the high of someone giving us $5,000, a low of feeling as if I'm turning somebody away from Jesus, which you're not turning anyone away from Jesus. Jesus, right. All places, at all times. Right. But people feel that connection with God when they come into the sanctuary, and so that's how I was feeling. I felt so bad, but we continued. We pressed on. We started doing more community work, and I continued to state while we were going through COVID, I said our church is going to be better after this. Our church is going to be better after this, because what happened was we got more community minded. Our young adults, big shout out to the young adults of Mount Zion. They stepped up like crazy. They've disappeared a little bit now, but during COVID, they were at the height of their game. You feel what I mean?
Yeah, I'll say like at that time, it felt like there was definitely like the engagement with church was a lot of our older folk heavy. Mm-hmm. Like they were involved, they were mm-hmm. doing stuff. With the younger adults, you had to like wait and learn. But I do remember there was a point in the pandemic early on where it was like, if you were between these certain ages, you were less susceptible to the virus. Mm-hmm. And so that's when kind of the call went out to us, and we were like, yeah, like this is a time where I can give and contribute and be part of my church community. So it allowed the older folks to like, oh, like they can do it. They don't have to, they're not children. They mm-hmm. can be responsible and they can do things. So yeah, I remember working the food pantry. I remember giving out gift cards and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I looked at my leadership and was like, yo, all of my leadership is over 60, mm-hmm. African Americans, and majority of them have pre-existing conditions.
Yes.
So my leadership is now out of there. They can't, no engagement, right? And so, but now these young adults came up, and we was, like I said, I want us to be thriving thriving through the pandemic and not just surviving it. Mm-hmm. And I think God allowed us to do that. We paid off our mortgage.
Amen.
Amen. To God be the glory for that. We thought giving was going to go down, but our giving went up. Mm-hmm. I remember one meeting we had with the deacons. They was like, hey, y'all need to stop sending out these inflated numbers. Because ain't no way we bringing in this much money and nobody's coming in the building. But some older adults who didn't do online giving, they would drive to the church and put their offering in the mailbox every week. Yeah. Big shout out to the AV team. They held us down. Shout out to all of our musicians, Deacon Stanley, Jalen and Vanessa. Just consistent, right? Yes. And then the praise team. So we went that whole probably about 18 months before we opened back up. Yeah. And we never had an outbreak. Ha! You know what I mean?
Y'all better be shouting when you hear that. That's a shout.
For real, we never had an outbreak because that core group that was here, we were so intentional. At least I don't know what you all was doing outside of church, but I know that based off what you was doing, you were being intentional about staying safe and not bringing any type of virus to the church. Yeah. So that because everything just every week. And we were so intentional. We would have rehearsal every Saturday, and mic check. Everything was just locked in. We had a routine that we was going. And I know you all had some burnout because because of the work that we were doing. And then, not like you said, not only were we doing worship, we was doing community service. We were helping people. We were feeding people. We was giving people funds, giving people money. It was just a whole lot that I think what helped us. Something that we added was we expanded our reach beyond 2019 Fisher Street in the community, across the country, even now to the world, because so many people are just connected to us that were never connected before, and so that was something that we needed. Texting system, emailing system, newsletters, social media. We're making a larger impact today than our church probably has ever done in 114 years of its existence. Something that we didn't need was bulletins and programs. And so we no longer need. So that is gone. And then, our discipleship is on different levels now where we're able to offer hybrid models, and Sunday school kept going on conference call, prayer call was more intensified. Life during COVID, as bad as it was, I think we lost 2 members that died from COVID. As bad as it was, CT, as bad as it was, it helped our church become what it is today, and I think it's all beneficial to the work we was doing. Now, like I said, when we get to the burnout, I know I'm talking a lot on this one question, but
it was a lot.
But it was a whole lot. And like last Sunday, we got to church at 9:40, and the parking lot was full. I cried because I remember during COVID, I pulled in the parking lot and I was like, dang, the parking lot empty again. Every Sunday we pull in the parking lot, empty parking lot, because we didn't, some churches pre-recorded their services. Some churches would do it from home. We were in the building every week except about Christmas time. We took about 2 weeks where we just planned, pre-recorded everything. That was pretty cool. Might need to do that this year.
Yep. I would actually really enjoy it.
We should do that this year. What you think?
Yes.
Pre-record Christmas, New Year's.
Pre-record it.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that way, just thinking, if we pre-record it and we have it, you can be in the chat talking to the people like live.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
They talk back. You can talk back like in the. We can stage our people, because that was one thing that we did do when it was just us in the building, was we had to talk back to him. For sure. We was up in the upper room. That's what we call our AV space. We were yelling out, "Yes, Pastor, preach that." What? Immediately, all the things. But the call and response, we had to fill the space so that it helped. For sure. Continue to create the atmosphere, because we didn't want it to just be routine. We still wanted to bring the Lord in, have him show up, have him have his way, and connect with folks through the screen. And so part of that is connecting with the word in that way. So I kept preaching the same. You did. I think it's the same. Whether it's 100 people in the building, 300, or just the 10 that was here, and the praise team was singing, and they'll come sit in the audience. Yes, they won't stay behind me. But that's COVID. It allowed us to become family. I think it allowed us to grow together and learn each other.
it was tough times though. If we look back on it, it was just like we couldn't really engage each other. Like sitting this close right now, this would have been totally totally against it. Or thinking we'd get sick or something. And I'm done with COVID, but so when COVID first happened, making all these shifts, changing everything, and then my mom get COVID, and then she gets it where she's hospitalized, and I have to preach every Sunday still. That was tough. I had planned a whole sermon series for I think I had the whole year of just Jesus miracles. Every Sunday I had already planned out everything. COVID happened and shift my whole focus. And so we had to just preach on hope and God make a way and weeping may endure for a night, joy comes in the morning, all those things. And we just fulfill uncertainty. And then we did the 8 a.m. outside worship. We was at church. We was churching. You remember being out there controlling the sound?
Yes, I do. The wind would come through.
Oh, my God.
Shout out to Deacon McDonald because we had a baptism outside. We was doing everything. So we were doing baptism outside. Not on the ground, but like up top, kind of like up the stairs. We have a landing. Shout
out to Lighthouse. They allowed us to use their portable baptism pool.
Shout out to them. And so we had that baptismal pool, and so people could come and watch the baptism from their cars. There's cars in the parking lot. That's why we were up there. And we're up there. This man, he goes down into the water. He comes back up, and this big gust of wind comes. And the speaker that was there was facing the water, and it fell. Deacon McDonald saved that man from being baptized and going to see Jesus in the same day. Because that speaker was going straight into the water. So
for real,
it was that went. Shout out to his reactive skills.
I wonder is it still on our Facebook page because MJ was recording and then MJ like that man almost died. That man almost died. So we did some crazy stuff and then we was outside October. It was the 5th Sunday in October. I can remember it. And it was freezing cold. Everybody sitting in their cars. I'm the only one outside preaching. Eyes running, hands and feet shivering, just freezing. And I'm out there preaching my life away.
Yep. I'm so proud of him.
And then so we shut it down for the winter, and then we came back in the spring because we started back in the spring, and then I was like, yo, that's enough. We're not doing outside worship anymore.
Oh, yeah.
It's over with.
And it was kind of fun in the sense like our neighbors would call the police
every Sunday
because we were singing, we had music, and then instead of the call and response people were honking their horns, and so the cops kept getting called, but we were covered
by the ordinance.
Say
churches are not subjected to or noise ordinance, so we can make as much noise as we want,
which was beautiful.
That's crazy.
Which was Oh,
that's COVID. COVID. It's a lot. That was a lot. It was a whole lot.
Oh gosh!
But like I said, I think our church is better after it. That we didn't die, not physically, but a lot of churches closed their doors and shut down because they weren't able to recover from COVID after COVID. And I think God has blessed us.
Yeah, really has. All right, leadership lesson 3, number 3. The church's role in the community. So kind of where we're seated, we are in the middle of a neighborhood, very much so. So how did you learn about the community? And then also like as a church, how did the community receive the church?
Well, the community has, they've received us in a great way, positive way. I think they respect us. The question is often asked, if your church was to close its doors and move, would the community even notice? And I think if we were to do that, it'll be a huge gap that needs to be filled. I think we have been very intentional of how we help those who have been disenfranchised, those who are poor, those who are looking for hope and peace. People run to us as a safe haven. It was a shooting one year, and the kids in the community, instead of running home, they ran to the church. So that displays to us how we're seen as a safe haven. We are intentional about our work. 2020, we started doing a whole lot of work, a lot more work, and became a little more visible with the work that we were doing. And people wanted to fund us, but they didn't want to give to a faith-based organization. And so we started MTZ Charitable Organization, which is now the hub or the owners of all of our community-focused programs. And so we are now able to go after those grants and receive funding from people to be able to take care of we have 8 programs. We have our behavior health clinic, which is a partnership with the Niece's Family Therapy. We have our academic learning center, which is led by Tara, with after school program from kids in kindergarten through 6th grade. We have our mentorship program for kids who are aging out of foster care. We have our TRY program, which is transforming and reaching our youth, which we attend the Juvenile Detention Center every second and fourth Sunday. We have our older adults program, which is led by Dina Wright. We have our health and wellness, which is pseudo led by Carla Gaines.
Pseudo because she does not live in Madison anymore.
And we have our food pantry that serves at least 60 families a month. And we're very intentional about the people in our neighborhood that's close here. And during COVID, we were driving. I don't know if I'm gonna say I was driving out food all the way to people on the north side and carrying food to their homes and stuff.
That was beautiful.
It's crazy. And then we have some emergency assistance programs that we help people who need funding with housing or utilities or any type of emergency that may come up. So we've been very intentional about helping our community. Now we do our yearly picnic and the community comes out and support it and people are there. We still need more visibility for the work that we're doing and the lives that we're impacting. But because we are a church and we flow in the spirit of humility, we're not boasting or we don't not marketing what we do as much as other organizations may. So we are locked in with the community. I think the community loves us, and I think we're doing what we need to do to help people who are not members of our church. 80% of the participants in the programs in which we have the offer have no connection to Mount Zion at all. For sure.
Oh, wow. Leadership lesson number 4. Discipleship and spiritual growth. My piece is under this. So that how do you measure spiritual growth? Like what does that look like?
Yeah. So I believe right now we're in a season where our church is growing numerically, where every Sunday we've been full.
Yes. It's very hot.
Well, we're having kids in children's church.
Yes.
So how do we measure discipleship and spiritual growth? One, you measure it from attendance, right? Just people being around, not just in worship, but also in Bible study, on prayer, conference calls, and then just talking to people, seeing where they are and how they are understanding the lessons in which we're providing. And so right now, this year, our focus is to be more intentional on evangelism and discipleship, that we are making sure we're living out our mission statement of creating faithful disciples. People are hungry for the word, and we're seeing that. And we're getting people who are young adults who've never been a part of church now coming to the church. So it's not your people that grow up in church and know the lingo, knows the language, knows how the church operates. It's people who had no affiliation with the church at all, but now they want to be connected to the church. And so now how do we meet them where they are? So they may not know what a revival is. You know what I mean? May not know what it means to open the doors of the church. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now I want us to be more intentional in that area so that we can be able to have people who are able to defend their faith.
Yeah.
That they're not afraid of Jehovah's Witnesses or Hebrew Israelites when they talk to them, but they can defend their faith and say, hey, this is what I believe. This is why I believe. And this is who I am. And I'm convicted and I'm standing on this. And so that's where we want to be. We want to be faithful disciples. And I think we're heading in the right direction with our discipleship model of being a believer, a learner, a servant, and a seeker. And so we want to be more intentional about that this year, of how we will always remain in some level of posture in all four of those categories. We'll always be believers, learners, servants, and seekers. But how do we be intentional in each part of that? So that's where we are this year, and hopefully moving forward.
All right. Cool. All right. Leadership lesson 5. So kind of getting into which is youth and the next generation. So kind of building off of what we've talked about, how we've got a new generation of folks in the church whose parents didn't grow up in church or they didn't grow up in church. Why are these groups so important? And then how do you stay relevant to all generations within our church?
Yeah, so it's important because I don't know how else to say this. People die. The older you get, the closer you get to the grave. And so if we're only focused on one particular age group, at some point that age group is going to pass away. So in order for the church to keep going, you need other generations to come behind them. They said your church is a dying church if it's all older adults. Your church is a dying church if it's all young adults. Because if we're just focused on one demographic of people, our church is not growing. It's not developing. I want crying babies in church. Mm-hmm. You know, some people are like, oh, get that baby out of here. And nah, let that baby run around the church. Let that baby do whatever they need to do, because then, you know, that's a sign of, I believe, it's a church that's growing and developing. Mm-hmm. But if it's just all older adults, and, you know, all of us have our preferences of how we want church to be, how we want church to operate. But if we're intentional of developing young adults, putting them in leadership positions, allowing them to serve, allowing them to do the work, it develops them. They may not be ready in that moment to be a deacon or be a trustee or even serve on the minister or staff. But at some point when that time comes around, they'll have those skills that have been developed. And the way I stay relevant is TikTok. So
that's good. A
lot of TikTok videos, merch, and going down to the juvenile detention center. Mm-hmm. Those kids, you know, they help me learn the language of the youth. The things that they say, and I ask them what it means. Then when I go back, I talk to them using those words. Then I ask them, did I use it right?
That's good.
So
that's good vulnerability of like, you're not going in.
So with the youth, with the older adults, you know, just I like talking to our older adults. I like being around them. They have so much wisdom and knowledge, and a lot of them have this level of gratitude, where they're just because Mother Henderson, I think she turns 95 or 96 sometime next week. And
wow.
And on our prayer call, we have Thankful Friday, and she often the first one to respond, say, "What are you thankful for?" Mm-hmm. He woke me up this morning. that gratefulness for another day, that wisdom that they have when I go visit them in the hospital or visit their homes. Oftentimes I'm going to inspire them, but I'm the one that leaves inspired. I go to pray for them, and then before I leave, when I get finished praying, they pray for me. And so I love being around older adults. I think I won't say the hardest group to really reach is that 35 to 55, but that age group right there, they're going through another form of transition. Whereas 18 to 35, they're going through the transition of being an adult, college, military, work, trying to find a spouse, all that type of stuff. And then that 35 to 55, oftentimes you're pretty much locked into careers, knowing what you want to do. But then if you have children, your children are aging out of college, aging out of high school, moving out of the house, getting close to 55, you're thinking about retirement. But
and like aging parents, and maybe it's like in that 35 to 50, like you've lost a parent or things like that. So it's that type of transition. Like there's other the responsibilities that you have kind of increase that are less like personal. They're more
communal, family. Yeah. So it's that group. I don't know who I connect with most. I think I love connecting with everybody, and I'm just that type of dude. Everybody loves me.
Oh, I heard because you have an old soul. That's how you connect with the older folks. And I know that's why there's definitely some of that old Baptist stuff that's in your preaching. Yeah. Because that connects with the older folks.
For sure. And I'll never let that go. Won't he do it?
Yeah.
I'll never let that go.
All of that.
All of that.
They love it.
If you want the PowerPoint and speaking to the lapel mic and stuff, that would never happen under my tenure.
You tried.
I did. It did not work.
It did not work. No. Would you want to try it again? Nah. Okay. Great.
I think I'm confident. I'm confident and comfortable in who I am and my voice, and I'm fine.
Good. Yeah. But yeah, I think you do a really good job of bridging the gap between generations, and everyone feels that they get a piece. You're connected. You're speaking to them in a way that they'll understand.
Got it.
Right. Like you're using some older terms, some newer terms for everyone. Looking at the word from different angles. Like it's just. And then I see it in the ministers that are under your care too. Okay. So it continues on with them. So that's part of kind of your teachings, because one thing I notice about you that is more of like an older generation thing is like reading a long piece of text at the beginning of a sermon, like reading like 10 verses. And then throughout the sermon referencing all of these other verses that like associate or just like help hit this one point. And it's a lot, like you're getting a lot at once, versus kind of how you approach it is like, we're going to focus here on this text.
All right.
We're going to go through it. If it's something involving prophecy, this is where it is. It's not here. We're going to go Old Testament, New Testament. Right. It's not, it doesn't hit like that. And I think people appreciate you wrap it in a wonderful way that is for everybody.
You ain't just glazing, are you?
I don't know what that means. Is that like gas me up?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
See, hang out with me, CT. I'll get you on the game.
I picked up some context clues. Because glaze, you put glaze over donuts or a cake.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, I think my sermons have always been intentional of just preaching what's there. And that's something I try to teach my preachers too. No, you don't need to go all the way around the world. The Bible is enough, and whatever that text is, that is enough for what you're preaching. Yeah.
And to me, it challenges those delivering and those receiving in the Sunday worship, knowing the true text and knowing the scripture.
Right.
Like we're getting into it versus just sharing it to know it.
For sure.
Which I appreciate. Leadership lesson number 6. Balancing ministry and family.
We're going to get through all these. Number 6. Go ahead.
This was your idea.
Go ahead, CT. Go ahead.
Number 6. Balancing ministry and family. How do you do it? That's my only question. That's it. How do you do it?
Balance is not a word that I will use because something will always be off balance. There will never be an even balance between the time in which I give to the church, to ministry, to self-care, and to family. So there will always be an off balance, but an imbalance. I'm sorry. But there's always a rhythm. I've created a rhythm that I try to be intentional about doing so that no one feels as if something is getting more attention than it requires. I heard TD Jake say something a few years ago. When it comes to church and family as a pastor and leader, nothing should lose consecutively, which means at some point I got to choose the church over my family work, but I should never choose the church in consecutive efforts over what my family needs, because that then becomes tension between the house, your physical house, and the house of God. And then I've had some leaders and mentors tell me, I've watched others when they dealt with their family in the church. I've heard the horror stories of giving your all to the church, but at the same time losing your family. So I've been very intentional about not putting the church here and putting my family here. I try to keep everybody here. My family know my passion. They know my desires. They know what I love to do, but they also know I love them. And so I've heard the stories. I've seen it. I've watched how most or some preacher kids, when they become adults, they leave the church and not a part of the church. Or if they come, they're not engaged in church. And Alex sent me this clip, like, my dad is the pastor, so I do everything at the church. So, dude, he was taking pictures. He's playing the keyboard. He was singing.
Yeah.
And so I never want to get to that space where who I am defines who they may become. But I definitely want to have that influence on their lives that they want God as much as I do. But at a level for me is, I like to go on vacations, and when we go, we often taking our family with us. We like doing things together. I love being a pastor. Yeah. One of my pastors told me at my first installation, he said, "Hey, if they call you to be the president of the United States of America, turn it down, because the pastor will always have the last words. Ashes to ashes." And dust. Yeah, that's an auntie.
I'm in that season.
And so my passion for ministry and work and preaching, I love it. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing, but my family is number one. And Dr. John Faison, he says, God created the family before he ever created the church. He created the family in Genesis 2.
Just man and woman in 2, because the fall was in 3.
Yep. So, there you go. Bible girl. So he created the family in Genesis, but he didn't create the church until Acts. Yeah. And so there's no hierarchy system. Have church family and the God church family. All that. There's no hierarchy system, But it is the system of I want to please God in a sense, and the me pleasing God, these things come. But the intentionality is to ensure that everyone feel as if they are part of this journey and mission with me. So not only are we celebrating 8 years of pastor and people, but pastor, family, and people. Yeah. And so because if my family system wasn't as strong as it is, 8 years would have been totally difficult.
Yeah.
But 8 years has, I still feel like I'm the new kid on the block. I still feel like I just got here. But that's because my wife and my kids, I couldn't have a better partner and better kids than what I have right now. Oh, chill. Love you, T. Sometimes.
Don't do that. Don't take it back.
Yeah, for sure though. That's I think anyone who's thinking about doing ministry, being pastor, doing any type of work, and you have a family, take care of your family. Because if not, your family gonna go on, and it's gonna come a time where you're gonna see some people you never knew that lived in your house, but because you were so engaged with doing ministry work, that you become a stranger in your own house, and that's not a good place to be.
It's not a good place to be. There's a song about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Whew. All right. Leadership lesson number 7.
Number 7.
Future vision for Mount Zion.
What?
What is it?
Yo, we're gonna take over the whole entire world.
Cause we taking over one city at a time.
Yo, the vision for Mount Zion is for us to do everything for the master.
I thought you was gonna give me something a little bit more.
That's our vision. That's our vision statement, right? But far as where we are, there's some things that I'm thinking about right now. Is what we're doing, continue to reach people, but more importantly, creating faithful disciples. We want people in our building, but we want people in the kingdom more so than in the building. And so I think that's where we want to be. I want us to have a large impact on our children and our youth. I want us to continue to be engaged in the community and doing the work, helping those who are unable to help themselves. Then future too, MCZ Charitable being a strong, stable organization that's leading our programs and our new Family Life Center, that we need about $5 million more to make it happen, that we can go into debt free. $5 million. That's it. So if you got it, let us know. And so having that life center here and being engaged in our community and developing and creating faithful disciples, that's the vision. And I don't think that's super special. I think it's something that changes lives on the spiritual side and on the physical side. And so I think us just being more engaged in that and being consistent in doing that.
Great. Cool. I thought you had another 8-point plan.
No,
but keeping it simple, I think is great.
Keeping it simple, and then, at some point, the way we're moving right now, with people in worship, we'll probably have to go to an extra worship service.
I knew that I felt that in my spirit. I was like, we are gonna have another worship service. And thinking about having another location. On another part of the city, we'll be at another location. I think that'll be cool. He's gonna have to expand. Huh?
Everything, yeah.
I was actually a church that I was attending before I moved to Madison had a young adult youth service on a separate. It was a once a month thing.
Okay,
but it was not like how we do Relevant. I guess a little bit like how we do Relevant. Relevant's more focused on college students.
Yeah.
But this included kids, older, people that would be out of your traditional college age. So mid-20s to mid-30s, and just had a service for them and talked about, the word was geared towards them. in that way. But yeah, okay, another location, cool. We love it. Yeah, if you have a space that you wouldn't mind having us in, talk to Pastor Allen.
We got a space in mind. We got a space in mind.
Oh, you do have a
already.
space in mind.
Yeah.
A visionary. Love it. I'm behind. Basically, that's what I'm hearing. Okay, leadership lesson 8. I'm gonna leave it open to you. What has been a leadership lesson that we haven't talked about, we haven't worked through, that you have gained over your 8 years here at Mount Zion?
So this position God has placed me in as pastor, ultimate thing is all about it's all about the people. And so acknowledging who people are, or trying to discover who people are before implementing processes or new missions, new visions, just understanding who the people are. And sometimes that's difficult because everyone is different, but you got to know how to handle people. And I'm still developing that, right?
I'm just listening. I'm attentively listening to you.
I'm still developing because right now I'm the only full-time staff person. Mm-hmm. And that's difficult when we have over 550 members, 30 ministries, MTZ Charitable, fundraising for the building project, doing all of that. And I'm the only full-time person. And so even though I have a couple of part-time staff, they don't have the church on their mind full-time like me. And even with volunteers, there's a level of expectation that I have that people cannot live up to. And so I'm still navigating how to speak to them and how to encourage them and motivate them. I'm learning how to say thank you more. I'm learning if I do something that people may not like or something, I hit them up and say, hey, was that petty or was that inconsiderate and stuff like that. Normally I'm like, yo, whatever, let's get rock steady. But I'm really learning. It's really this role is managing people, encouraging, motivating people. And so I think leadership lesson is being intentional, engaging the people and understanding who they are so that you can lift them up and put them in the right position so that they can thrive. And then also even when dealing with conflict resolution, because conflict is going to happen because we are fallen people. So I think for me, this lesson or this space I'm in right now is really, we learn systems. At least I've created systems. We've created programs. We've done the work. But now I'm really focusing on the people. How people, because I never really considered people having other lives outside of Mount Zion.
Okay. Why?
Because I don't.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so people come and they're like, oh, we burnt out. I'm like, burnt out from what? Because you ain't really doing nothing here. But I'm really figuring out that people are burnt out. They got the work that they have outside of here. Then they have their families. And then on top of that, they come here to do a work. And so when I give a task, now it just piles on what they've already had. And they feeling burnt out because church work is just it's another additional duty from their regular jobs and their families that they have at home. And so I'm learning that. And so, but I'm also trying to be more cognitive of it, but also being more grateful and affirming how I appreciate people and what they're doing.
That's good. Yeah. I say keep doing that. Beneficial for all of us. And I will say, as someone who has been asked to do a lot, you do have high expectations of people. I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing, because I think it's a good growth thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop that anyways.
But I think it's a good piece for like others too, and like the accountability. And if we want Mount Zion to continue to be in another location and continue to be accessible across the world, we have to continue to grow. We have to meet a standard, maybe triggering to some folks, but I think there is an expectation that is set, and striving to meet it.
Yep.
With that, thank you for sharing your
Appreciate
lessons learned over the past 8 years. Anything else you want to share with the people?
No, I think just our philosophy that I'm on too is being consistent, preparation, and excellence. Those 3 things that we're pushing also for our leaders. And so if we always prepared, we're consistent with what we're doing, and we approach things with the spirit of excellence, we'll be all right. I think greater is in front of us. Our church, we celebrate 114 in May, and I think our church has never been in a better position than it is today.
Yeah.
And that's only because of the grace of God.
Amen.
And we appreciate that.
Well, thank you for joining us. Please check out our website, mtzlife.com for more updates. And until next time, stay marvelous, fabulous, and blessed. Peace.
Peace.